Well, hello there, YouTube. Welcome back to Highwayman Trucking and My Way on the Highway. Happy Mother's Day out there to all you moms, stepmoms, grandmothers that doing that job every day. It's certainly the toughest job out there. We had a beautiful Mother's Day here. My wife and I went over to her girlfriend's house this morning for a brunch with her and her boyfriend. Had a great brunch. Came home and had our son here, his girlfriend, and our grandson, and had just a great time. Went swimming. It's 100 degrees here in Arizona. Southwest is heating up, folks. It was also our son's 27th birthday, so had a little birthday with him and celebrated Mother's Day at the same time, and really pretty cool. Nice, calm, relaxing Sunday. Need to apologize to those of you out there for not getting any videos out in quite a while. My wife's been writing me. I know it. And I've had so much to say and just tried to be as busy as I can. And unfortunately, the trucking industry is just depressing right now. And those of you involved in it, you know it. You see these articles, oh, trucks are booming, and it's just not the reality. Freight, it was booming a little bit for some of the van drivers out there. And those of us in open deck, as you know, I pull a step deck, and it's just been dead. First couple of weeks, I was able to get some pretty much local work. I went from Phoenix area to El Paso and back. I did that 1 week and then did it the next week. And they were decent paying loads. It was okay. And then did another one last week that was great going out there. And then coming back, I couldn't find anything. Literally. And I didn't want to go across the country. Just didn't feel like it. So there was nothing coming back. And I wound up turning and burning basically and came home. So it was kind of a horrible week. But I knew that might be the case. And, it's just hard to keep your head above board here these days. A lot of you know it and are feeling it, and it's tough. And there's a huge talk out there and debate with all of the truckers starting to come together, and people are talking about striking. I know they've driven their trucks on Los Angeles, Washington, D.C. I think there's one in Chicago or planned for Chicago area. And it is a tough debate. And I don't want to discount anyone's opinions or put someone down for their opinion and say, oh, well, you're a complete idiot, blah, blah, blah. That's not the case. A lot of people are calling for the government to regulate the broker's pay. There's been some great videos out there and some not so great videos out there. One of the activists was able to get a letter apparently to Trump, and the president made some comments that, our truck drivers are our backbone, and he was going to look into some things and so forth. Yes, it is horrible out there. I own the company. I have my own authority, and I run off of load boards. I primarily use DAT. I'm a Landstar approved carrier. I do use Landstar's board from time to time. And a couple of other brokers that have their own load boards I use, but those are the two main ones that I do use. And it is tough. You can definitely see the brokers that are taking advantage of us during this time. Having said that, it is not just related to COVID-19. Now, they have been taking advantage predominantly, I believe, in the flatbed, step deck, open deck market for the last couple of years. Rates have been going down. And people will say, oh, supply and demand, spot market, all of this crap. Okay, and there's little bits and pieces of that are legitimate and valid. But having been in a business where we paid for shipping on a regular basis, knowing friends with multiple businesses that pay for freight on a regular basis, I can tell you we never saw freight ever go down. Now, we're not talking, oh, I did this crap for a couple of years and that was that. My wife's parents' business, they had for 41 years. My wife ran it for 25 years. We had our retail business for over 10 years. And for those of you that don't know, we were in the military surplus business. It was new and used stuff. We bought it and shipped it from all around the world. We weren't a little hole-in-the-wall store. We were a very successful operation. My wife grew up with some of the owners of the companies that passed those companies down to their children who are her age. And these are some of the biggest manufacturers of tactical clothing, apparel, vests, boots in the world. They're names that if I dropped them, you would know exactly the brands, okay? Those people are still our good friends. They are not paying any less. They are not paying any less in freight. No one has ever seen a decrease in freight. If they have, it's been very temporary, very minuscule, and freight only ever continues to go up. Now, there may be certain things where you bought a John Deere tractor from private hands and it's in Tupelo, Mississippi and needs to go down to Houston. Okay, and that person may, go to the broker and say, look, I want to get this shipped. I'm willing to pay $2,000. That's it. Okay, those are issues where the broker has control over the price. But for the most part, goods and commodities that are shipped, you call a freight broker, they tell you what the approximate freight rate is for that lane, that area. They set the freaking rates, okay? Company doesn't call up and say, oh, well, it doesn't happen across the board. It may happen for certain select items, but across the board, shipping is determined by the freight brokers, okay? Great. Freight brokers do have a difficult job. They go out and get the customers. They find customers. They're referred from other customers, existing customers, things like that. So they do have the job of securing the freight, the customers, the contracts, etc. They need to be compensated for that. That is 100% a fact. They are providing a service and a job. I am not a fan of freight brokers, don't get me wrong, but we also have to use some common sense here and not just do the poor me card, okay? And I'm feeling it bad. Do not mistake this. Watch the entire video and listen to what I'm saying. Those freight brokers provide a service. Without their service, it would be a complete clusterfuck in the freight industry. Okay, people say that we need to cut out the brokers and go direct. There is no way that any big shippers are going to rely on putting their loads up on load boards day in and day out and hoping that a truck gets there, or bartering back and forth with truck drivers. They're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. You're not going to put these brokers out of business that way. It's not going to happen, okay? Now, there's people that are calling for government intervention and regulation, saying the government needs to step in and regulate those freight brokers. Now, I'm sorry, and again, I don't want to bash those of you that are saying that, but that comes from a welfare state of mind, a socialist, anti-capitalist state of mind. Okay? First of all, anytime the government gets involved in an industry and attempts to implement new regulation or more extreme regulation, it screws things up. Okay, that's right off the bat. More government regulation is almost never a good thing in any industry. Okay. Second, and most importantly, you do not want the United States government to limit your earning potential. And by going and saying that the freight brokers can only make X number of dollars, you're doing just that. Okay. I remember years ago, when I started driving a truck, I worked for this company, and it was a good company for all intents and purposes. They had good equipment, employed a lot of people. It was a one-man outfit. The guy started with one dump truck, and he had over 700 trucks in 3 different states. And he was a private pilot. He liked to fly. And one day, rumor was out that he got another airplane, and he already had like 3 airplanes, right? And I remember somebody coming to work and being like, oh, that son of a bitch just got another airplane, blah, 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 blah. You know what I said? I'm glad he got another fucking airplane. I hope he has 20 airplanes, because that means he's successful. That means we have a job. Yeah, that's capitalism, ladies and gentlemen. And the first time that the government comes in and says, no, you can't make but X number of dollars, that means you guys are going to make Y number of dollars, and that's the law. Then there becomes no incentive for progression, okay? Your freight's going to get capped. It's only a matter of time till it branches out into other areas and aspects of our economy. What the hell is the point in being in business or any entrepreneur if you're going to be capped and limited by your government as to what you can make? Bad idea. It's an anti-American idea. I am not for it 100%. I think these guys that say, oh, they need to cap these freight brokers, they don't have a full understanding. It's a poor me looking for the right now fix, not the right fix for the entire situation. Major problem. Now, having said all of that, what can we do as truckers to fix it? One thing that we are doing right now, for the first time that I've seen, is we are starting to unite. Unity is key here. Not hauling cheap freight is the other key. These brokers are going to put these loads out, and they're going to try to make the absolute most money they can. And that's what they have been doing for quite some time now. When I got into the trucking business in my own company, the guy that I bought the company from had originally started off as a broker, and he worked for one of these big freight brokers. And then he bought a Blue Grace Logistics franchise. And then he got into the trucking company, and I bought him out. But kind of the norm back then was an average of about 26% of every load was going to the broker. The remainder was going to the truck. Slowly but surely, these last few years, we've seen brokers start taking the cut of 50, 60, 65%. Who knows, maybe even more. That is a direct result of those of us running for cheap freight. Now, we all have an excuse. We've pretty much all owner-operators or people in the industry are guilty of it. Maybe we need to get home. Maybe we want to get home. Maybe there's an emergency. Maybe we're just in a crappy area, and we've taken that cheap freight. But that only encourages these brokers to increase their cut and tighten their grip on us. And that's the truth. It is ultimately our responsibility to be the checks and balances in the freight market. We need to unite, and we need to hold these brokers accountable that no, we're not going to hold that load for 75 cents, because we know damn well that customer's probably still paying $2.50 a mile. Okay? Yes, you as a broker have a right to make a living. You have a right to be successful. Volume is how you become successful, just like in any business. But when we're out there running a truck, and that truck costs 50 to 60 cents a mile to run, like mine does, depending on the weight, size of the load, etc., that's just fuel and def. We're not talking about putting money back for maintenance or insurance or anything like that. That's my fuel and def cost, okay, per mile. I can't run for 75 cents a mile. I can't run for $1 a mile. It's not financially responsible of me to run for that. Okay, the risk of going out, having a breakdown, a blown tire, whatever the case may be, does not play into effect for rates like that. It's not worth the risk for me to be in business doing that. I might as well I mean, there's loads I've seen where I'd make a hell of a lot more money as a company driver than owning my own business. And that's something that we've all got to take into consideration. Now, Driven Trucking did an awesome video on this the other day, and I really liked it. The one thing that, he has going for him is he's leased on to Landstar. Landstar's a great company. I have a cousin that's been there for years, has done very, very well, and been successful with Landstar. And that's great. But in the video, the only thing he said that I disagreed with is he says, you've got to go out and find customers. And, it's on you to find customers. Sure, that would be ideal. And certainly if you want to run, like let's say out of the Phoenix area, I want to run to Denver and back. And that's all I want to do. It might be a little more possible to find a dedicated lane like that. But in the open market, it's pretty difficult as a one-man show to go out and find customers. I have, 3 or 4 customers that want me to go direct for hay. And one of them, for example, is in Texas. And the guy gets a load of hay every month and a half. Well, that's great. I can get a load out to him every month and a half. But once I get there, how the hell am I going to find a dedicated customer all the way back? And only every month and a half. You see what I'm saying? It's very difficult. I have another customer in Arkansas, actually 2 customers in Arkansas that want hay. And it's about once a month. So once a month I go to Arkansas. Well, then I got to find that once a month trip back. Oh, but now the guy in Texas needs a load of hay. So as a one-man show, it's very, very difficult to find your own customers and a dedicated route. Personally, I don't like dedicated routes. I like the adventure and the freedom of going out there and never really quite knowing where I'm going to go. Is that risky? Yeah, it's risky. It is definitely risky. But that doesn't mean I have to work for free either, because I'm still hauling freight. I'm still going all over the country. I go everywhere but California. I won't go to California. I disbelieve in their politics very strongly. I've got a bad taste in my mouth for that state, and I just don't go there. I mean, and I'm not one of those guys that, oh, well, I'll just dip in and come out. No, I don't go there, period. I've never driven a truck in the state of California, and that's that. But anyhow, so back to what I was saying. I think that it is our responsibility to unite on social media and every outlet that we can, and let these brokers know that we're not going to haul cheap freight. We're going to hold them accountable. Let's start doing videos about these brokers that are trying to rape us financially and putting these loads out there. I'm starting to make a list of what I see on the load boards for loads that I know are freaking dirt cheap. As an owner-operator, when I deliver product to customers, I talk to them quite often. And I don't believe in violating the contracts that you have with brokers, but if a customer flat out asks me, hey, what's this load pay? I'm going to tell them. And when they hear that and they hear the profit margin these brokers are making, sometimes it blows their mind. And sometimes, business they don't have control over and they have to go through the brokers, and that is what it is. And oftentimes they'll say, well, hey, call me, blah, 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 if you need a load. And again, it's not like I'm going to take a contract from some major broker here. The chances of me getting back in that particular area when they need me are pretty rare, pretty slim. Okay, so simmer down, brokers. One possibility of government oversight that I could see would help us, would make us feel more secure, is transparency on rate confirmation sheets. And I'm going to say company A wants a load shipped to company B, and they're going through broker Z. Okay, I don't see a problem, and I think it would be actually a good thing if they were mandated to share the entire value of the load. So the broker says this load is $5,000. This is what Company A is paying us to send to Company B. It's $5,000. The truck is getting $3,500 and the broker's getting, $1,500 or whatever the breakdown is. Some type of federal regulation mandating that. Not saying the broker can't make this money, not saying the truck can't make this money, but total transparency showing the freight is this much, broker's getting this much, truck's getting this much. If you double broker, then it just would add on to that. So not much would change, but there would be transparency. So we, as truck drivers, owner-operators, people with their own authorities, can say, wow, this freaking cut is, well, this is about 20%, this one's about 30%, or holy crap, this guy's at 70% of the load. No freaking way. So before I sign that rate confirmation, I know I don't have to sign that rate confirmation. That guy's taking 72% of the load. Screw him. I ain't running that freight. Declined. Okay? But that's transparency. Now, the brokers are not going to want this. Guarantee you they're not going to want it. They're going to be against it. But with that, we can start publishing this stuff on social media. Hey, look, this is an honest brokerage company. They're running 30% every time. It's consistent. They're not trying to price gouge, blah, blah, blah. These a-holes over here, they're at 65% of the load every time. They're screwing us, blah, 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 blah. Let's not haul for them. I think that's a damn good idea. And I don't know if you've made it this far in the video, but hopefully you have. And I'd like to hear that talked about, passed around out there in the trucking world. It's the only thing that I can think of that would be fair for everybody, that would be fair for capitalism, and overall the American way. Now you can say, well, what if they break, what if they fudge the numbers and they're not, okay. I think that, there's so much federal regulation out there from the FCC, the SEC, blah, blah. If a broker gets caught publishing false data on that rate confirmation sheet, then they get fined. Maybe after so many fines, they lose their brokerage license. Something to that effect. I mean, look what's regulated on the stock market. They could do this. You could do this and have oversight, and the brokers need to know right off the bat, look, you fudge these numbers on there and you get caught, you're going to get fined $25,000, whatever it is. I mean, some of those fines in trading are huge, huge money. So I don't see where it couldn't be huge money to these brokers for lying. And, after 5 fines or whatever it is, you lose your brokerage license. You can't ever work in brokering again, just like traders that get caught cheating the system. They get disbarred. They can't frickin' have broker's licenses. So that's a possibility. It's the only thing that I can really legitimately think of that could help fix the problem without infringing on the rights of all Americans. And again, I don't believe any government, municipality, whatever, has the right to determine how much you can make. That is not the American way. That is not the entrepreneurial spirit that have founded this country and made so many people successful throughout it. That's what I'm going to push. I need to do more videos about it. I'm going to try to keep doing more positive videos about it. Anybody have any better ideas? Comment below. If you like the video, please subscribe. Help me grow the channel. I'd like to get out there. I'd like to get back to making more videos, get them out a little faster, and try to see if I can't make a difference in this crisis that we're all facing in the trucking world. Ring the bell if you want to be notified of future. Have a very blessed day. Again, happy Mother's Day to all you moms out there. Take care. God bless America.